saying before, the forwards aren't really firing top notch at the moment. I think Saints have going to have enough for this one. I've got Saints winning 32 points to 16, but what do you think will happen? Because your view is probably more important on this game than mine.
Well, obviously, Might and Warriors are on the pitch before the match, so that'll be enough to ensure. Actually,
I didn't realise that.
To be honest,
with the Super League pod logo.
Yeah. With the Super League pod
do I have
logo
to change my
and
prediction? I'll keep my prediction what it was, but I'll certainly even be more rooting for Hull FC now on that news. Not that I wouldn't have been already with my rooting bias.
Yeah, although, to be fair, I think Joshua's win ratio for being out on the pitch is similar to mine for being on the SLP. I think he might have had one. Yes, when we stuffed Catalan in the cup the other year, he was on the pitch then.
When you come on after cup games, it's usually good news.
Yeah, but as you say, you can never bet against your own team, can you? So I've gone for us to win 19-16.
Fair enough. And Saints have actually been scratching through a few games recently. They've not quite been as good in a number of games recently. That Wakefield game, they didn't really deserve to win, I didn't feel, for example. So there's a possibility there for you. Okay, Friday's final game, 8 p.m. kick-off this one, Salford versus Castleford. Despite me talking about Castleford not quite being as good as Warrington at the moment, I think that's in terms of the players they can put out on the field, but Salford are really just in free fall. So I can't go away from a Salford win in this game. So I'm going to go, a Castleford win. A Castleford win. I meant to say a Castleford win. 30 points to 10 is what I've got for Castleford. So a 20-point win by the Tigers. What do you think?
I've got even more than that. I thought if Rovers scored, 52. What was it, 52 past them, I've actually gone for Castleford to win 48-10.
The only nod of hope maybe for Salford is they were one of the few teams to beat Castleford last year. They were the first team who beat Castleford last year in 2017, and that was on home soil. So Salford's home record isn't necessarily as awful. Okay, there's I assume I've written this down right, unless I haven't. But there's a Saturday 3 p.m. game here. It says Widnes versus Hull KR. I'm guessing no one wants to play on Sunday with a potential World Cup final clash. So what do you think is going to happen for your rivals Hull KR away at bottom of the table Widnes?
I think that they're going to win. I've gone 36-18 to Rovers.
Yeah, I think they're going to win too. Very similar actually. 34-14 I've gone in favour of the Rovers too. So it's both of us going for the same result there. It's going to be interesting for them. That keeps them really in that top 8 conversation, especially if Huddersfield do lose to Wigan. Okay. Yeah. Into the Championship game of the week there, I think there was one total standout game of the week, to be honest, and it's London versus Halifax. London sit 2 points behind Halifax in the table, but with a huge points difference advantage over Halifax. I think this one might well be critical in what's going to end up in the final standings. London having a bit of a tougher run in than Halifax. They really need this one, and I feel like home soil, home plastic, they're going to get it. So I've gone for London. Who do you think will win?
Well, I have to back Halifax.
Of course, Joshua wouldn't forgive you otherwise. Okay, down into League One, and Workington make it a hat-trick of game of the week inclusions, because this week they've got the most attractive fixture too, and it's the West Cumbrian derby against Whitehaven. Now, what I'm most interested in this game is how many people turn out. I really would love to see 1,300 plus at this game, and if we don't see 1,300 on the terraces of this game, I think that's a real reality blow to these two clubs and to interest in the professional, semi-professional game in Cumbria. So I hope that the people get out in force. And Workington will win. I think they've won all the big games they've been picked out for this year by us so far, and they want to get revenge for a narrow defeat to Whitehaven earlier in the season. What do you think?
Yeah, I think Workington will win. I think Leon Price is doing a really good job up there. I think they've got some good, decent players. So yeah, I've gone for a Workington win as well.
Okay, into the NRL then. State of Origin Game 3. It's Queensland against New South Wales, Wednesday morning. You'll be able to watch this one at Sky. It'll kick off about 11:15. I've got a sneak that Queensland will make the series end 2-1 and give themselves some positive out of it. I think New South Wales probably have done all the hard work and winning and stuff that they might want to do this year. If they do nail it down and win the final game, I think that does suggest a real turn of the tide in that fixture. But at the moment, I still think some of the Queensland stars will want to go out on a high. People like Inglis and Slater. So that's where I'm pegging that one on a Queensland win in Bill Slater's final game as final rep game, and he'll be captain, I think. So what do you think?
My NRL knowledge is so poor, I'm afraid. I don't watch enough of it. I struggle even to watch the State of Origin just because of Wednesday not being a good day for me to get anything watched.
Okay then. In that case, doesn't matter. We won't score it on the predictions then this week. The rest of the NRL Brit picks. NRL, the Bulldogs play the Rabbitohs Saturday at 6 a.m. and the Raiders play the Cowboys Saturday at 10:35 a.m. But I don't think either of those are Sky picks. But the Dragons versus West Tigers on Sunday 7:10 a.m. is a Sky pick, so you can watch James Graham and Gareth Widdop in that one. The other ones will be available on Watch NRL app if you have that. That is the world of Rugby League well and truly covered. We're now going to wrap up the show with a quick quiz, a little bit of recommends, and a little bit of news about next week's show being a bit different to the norm. So stay tuned for that. So that's 189 episodes of SLP. Throwing the 5 shorts, I've done them up to 194 editions of this excellent podcast that we all enjoy so much, if I do say so myself.
Yep.
I love it, so I hope you lot do too. I've got a quiz for you, Sarah, and it's based on the big news this week that Kevin Sinfield and James Lowes are the new coaching duo at the head of the Leeds Rhinos. So they form the basis of the quiz. The answer will basically be one of the two players. So you've got a 50-50 shot at each one of these two questions. So the first question is, the two players faced each other 18 times between 1999 and 2003. Which player came out on top with a better winning record over the other in that time?
Sinfield.
No, that was still during Bradford's heyday and just before the golden generation had peaked. So Jimmy Lowes' Bradford side won 15 of the 18 times they played. Those two players played against each other in the club colours. Yeah. Okay. Question 2. Played 5 times for Great Britain and one played 13 times. Which was the player who won the more GB caps?
That must have been Sinfield.
That's correct, yes. His 13 caps for Great Britain came between 2001 and 2007. The two players actually played together for one game in GB colours. That was in 2002, the draw against New Zealand at Huddersfield that year. Okay. Lowes played in 7 major finals. Sinfield played in 15 major finals. But which player had the better winning record by win percentage in major finals?
I'm going to go for Lowes.
No. It's very close, though. Very close. Sinfield has a record of 9 out of 15, thanks mostly to his 7 out of 8 Super League Grand Finals, I think. 60%. That gives him a 60% win success rate compared to Lowes, who's got 4 out of 7, 57% success rate. So, yeah, Lowes, though, he won the only final which the two opposed each other, which was the 2003 Challenge Cup final. So there you go. Okay, question 4. You need this to achieve half marks, Sarah. Pressure's on. Which player had the better record by win success percentage in World Club Challenge matches?
I'm going to go Sinfield.
Lowes only played in one of those against Newcastle in 2002 and he won it, so he had a 100% record, whereas Sinfield had a paltry 50% record in his 6 World Club Challenge matches. So there you go. Okay, question 5, finally. Which player's Leeds career, because obviously Jimmy Lowes played for Leeds during the mid-90s before Sinfield was in the side there. Which player's Leeds career ended with a better tries to game ratio?
Mm. I'm going to go Sinfield again.
It was Kevin Sinfield. Only just. He scored a try in 16.5% of it, or a try per game, 16.5 ratio, whereas Lowes was 16% ratio of tries to games. So yeah, very close, but Sinfield won that one. So you got 2 out of 5 on that. Okay, it's SLP recommends time. Sarah, what do you have for me this week?
Well, I realised that I haven't ever recommended a book or an author or a series, and I am a massive reader, so I thought that this week that's what I would recommend.
Good stuff.
So, an author called Rob Ashman, who writes sort of crime and thriller books. He's written a series called The Mechanic Trilogy, which is good. And more recently, he's written 2 books based on a detective, and they're called Faceless and This Little Piggy. And his 3rd book's out for publication in September. So if you like crime books, thriller books that are pretty gory, I would highly recommend Rob Ashman.
Fair enough. Good stuff.
And the other thing that I wanted to recommend that I discovered on Saturday was from Costa, a salted caramel frostino. It was amazing. It was like drinking Scotch Angel Delight that was very, very cool.
Right, excellent. I mean, I'm guessing it's got coffee in it, so it wouldn't be for me.
Well, no, you can have it without coffee, which I did because I don't like coffee.
There you go then. Well, interesting stuff. Okay, do you know what? I haven't thought about a recommends this week at all. I'm trying to think. All I've really been doing is working and watching the World Cup or rugby. So I don't really have anything to go out other than that Whippets Whippets and Flatcaps RL podcast that I mentioned about Robert Elson. I would definitely give that one a listen this week. If you don't normally get onto that show, this week's is a special one that you should get your ears around.
I'll listen to that when I would normally be listening to SLP then this week.
Fair enough, yeah. Okay, next week, like I said before, like a tease, it's a little bit different next week. Alan Cale is the co-host, which isn't too different really. We've come to know Alan over this season, so that's great. But it's a Tuesday show. And we haven't had a Tuesday show yet this year. It was a common feature of 2017, but it's a Tuesday episode recording, so it'll be up late Tuesday, early Wednesday for everyone to listen UK time. That's because it's Emma's graduation from her masters next Monday, and we'll be going out for tea and stuff after that. So yeah, she's happy with me. I'm not in the bad books for not moving the show. So you go, and also. She did exceptionally well. She achieved a distinction in her masters, so I'm exceptionally proud of her. She's incredible, and yeah, I had to get in a good book because I'm away next weekend with friends, so I had to make amends for that as well. So if I'd have been recording the podcast after being away for a weekend, then I would have been in big trouble, I'm sure. So damage limitation from me there, but yeah, she deserves a bit of celebration and attention, doesn't she, for what she's done. Yeah. So yeah, that's another point. I might not be around as much on social media over the next week because I've got a couple of trips away. I'm off to the lakes today and then off to Faro in Portugal to get sunburnt to shit on the weekend. No. Saying that, we've been probably been similar climate here, hasn't it, for the last month. So, oh god, I can see loads of clouds out the window. I've forgotten what they looked like, Sarah.
I know it's really overcast here. Rain's forecast as well.
Okay, fair enough. Well, we probably could do with a little bit of. I've never seen like the grass being so pale. We were watching a bit of the British Grand Prix yesterday, and Emma just assumed it was somewhere overseas in some hot foreign country because of like how scorched all the ground was, how dry all the grass was.
Yeah.
So there you go. Okay. That's pretty much everything. Just finish off with a couple of the admin stuff, really. So people can make a donation to the show using paypal.me/Super League Pod, and the donations will be used for a few things. One, paying the running costs of this show.